In our case, when we started doing our due diligence for AI, for me, the big thing is if I'm going to invest in this, I want it future proof. And that sounded simple, but it was difficult. I wanted something that would scale with us as we grew, something that was reliable. And then the tricky part is with new technology, you have to get people to embrace it. We needed something that was very reliable from day one, so I would get that buy-in. And that was where True kind of kicked in. Is one, they worked with much larger clients than us, so we knew it would be able to scale with us and be future proof. And two, had already had a lot of that information vetted, so we knew it would be reliable on day one. I had assumed that, like most other technological implementations, AI was going to mean that every project and implementation was going to take 5 times longer and 5 times more money than I was anticipating. And I was already anticipating more. And with True, we found that that does not have to be the case. You can, to me, AI has introduced two different kind of changes to VIP and our operational processes. One is the actual automation itself and the time it saves. What was taking hours now takes minutes, and that's being very conservative. And that, of course, not only just saves the time per file, but also changes the way that the whole kind of file flow dynamic goes. And when you pick up a file, someone might grab a file now at 4:30, whereas before, when they knew they were going to have 3 hours of sorting, not pick that file up at 4:30. And that's where you can kind of have hours turn into days. The other factor is reliability of information. We're all human. When you have something that you know is effectively 100% correctly grabbing that data and populating it, that data becomes a lot more useful and utile. What True AI is doing for us is, with all of the functionality, it does take multiple hours per loan off, which does then just flat out dollars to dollars is cheaper than what we were paying the people to do the work for those hours. Beyond that, as mentioned, the data reliability is better. And then the big thing is consistency. People, even highly trained, very smart people, all have their unique perspectives on life. And in the case of a loan, there's a lot of life in these loans. So people have different ideas on how to set things up. This gives a very consistent product for day one. And when you have a very consistent day one product, that makes it a lot more consistent for the rest of the process as well, which was another benefit we did not anticipate. A lot of our people are only in Encompass, and anytime you're trying to get people to leave Encompass to do additional work, that really increases the pain level in that change management. So having it to where people could stay in Encompass and never have to leave made it much easier for training and adoption. Very much so. It made it to where we have a consistent product with the e-folders. People know exactly where to look for them. Less cases of having erroneous or extra e-folders in the system as well. And since it's all happening within Encompass, it makes it easier for data tracking and reporting purposes. I do not even know that answer off the top of my head, which means very little and way less than I was anticipating. I was really not expecting from True is that it then did kind of set off a foundation to start doing other AI and automation type work with. When you have a consistent product on day one, it makes the rest of the operations process easier. The same is true with AI. So a human is very good at adapting, computers less so. So True does a very good job of making a consistent product, which makes it much easier than to have other data automations plug in afterwards and further work that file. And people then have more trust that, hey, this whole AI thing can actually benefit us and isn't this big scary beast, and allowed us to move forward on some other project. When we took a look at an ROI, I know there's more that I'm leaving on the table, because there is the return you get as far as having consistency in data, which doesn't cause buybacks, which causes increased productivity of other members downstream of the loan cycle that I am not factoring in. If I look at the ROI purely as what does it cost to run True versus what did it cost to pay the man hours for people to do that job, I get between about a 20 to 30% ROI in using True, which is pretty fantastic.